it going? It's Ricky with TechBet Solutions. So thank you guys again for joining us for another recap on today's trading. So overall, a very successful day when it came to trading within our team. So two of the biggest stocks that were traded within our team was DRYS and SCYX. The one I profited off of was SCYX. I'm going to walk you guys through kind of like the breakdown on our group. So TechBet Solutions is pretty much a group I developed to teach members the basics and fundamentals of trading penny stocks. With the Facebook platform, 725 members with all four platforms, about 1,280 members last time I checked, and that's worldwide. And it's a great group, if you want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals and kind of learn the basics and fundamentals of trading. So for all those that want to get started and have always showed somewhat of an interest when it comes to trading penny stocks or investing, it's a free group that I created. You guys can join the group chat, brainstorm and network ideas, and that's the whole concept of this group, to help as we continue to grow, have access to more knowledge. So with that, less mistakes will be made, more best practices are being shared, which will only promote growth. So again, going back into it, we started the morning off just like we usually do, saying good morning to one another. Just shouted out a couple pre-market movers. Told them that DRYS was up nearly 50%, showed a resistance around 380. DRYS went up like 130-140% today. Ridiculous. I did not trade it just because it was more of a momentum stock, and based on my experience, I don't do too well when it comes to that. I do a little better when it comes to technical trades. But I do want to give a shout out to one of our buddies or one of our members. His name is Dylan Unger, and he's one of the newer members within our group. He actually just direct messaged me about DRYS last night, and hopefully he was able to jump right in and was asking me kind of where he thought, or where I thought the support or resistance was, just because DRYS has been on a consistent, just downfall. I actually did not expect this huge spike, and again, this spike was more of a pump and dump, which ended up, being just that. I shared why, it was just, pumped so high and why it was all hyped up, and it was because of a $200 million, common stock offering. It's a new partnership. I believe it's like 198 million contract or something like that. It was like a purchase agreement, which led to, in a sense, the value of DRYS to quickly inflate. So I ended up cashing all the way up to like $5.50, and then that's when it started bleeding back down. I'm gonna walk you guys through about the stock that I traded and kind of what to look for. So I shouted SCYX exactly like I usually do, and I've been trying to get better at this, but I wanted to kind of shout it out before I jump in and then tell you guys exactly like what my plan is. So when I tell you guys, I'm jumping in, SCYX, it had a safety at 290, so it was coming down, hit 290, it was bouncing. This was on the first bounce. I'm going to walk you guys through. You guys were already profiting, nearly $500. A bunch of you were locking in your profits on DRYS. I was letting you guys know that, it took a little dip. I was up in at 292. And let me actually just walk you guys through this chart. I'm going to show you about the two different bounces. So today being the 31st of January, and again, I do apologize for uploading this video so late. I was really busy today, so regardless, I really do apologize. I was able to label, in a sense, based on yesterday's trade, there was a resistance around that 303, 304 area, and I was very aware of that. So when it jumped down here to the 290 area, which I set my safety based on this 10-day analysis, I knew there was that safety at 290. The reason why is because it's touched this point before, and it's touched this point before based on its history. So I knew that was in a sense a strong safety. So what my plan was to get something close to near around that 290 area once it pumps up, and then set a stop loss anything below the 290 area. So my stop loss was actually set at $2.89. Just to minimize, it was $2.89 to what I usually do, try to minimize my loss at 1/10 of a cent. Ended up popping up, was able to pop up. This was on the first bounce, so popped up, hit highs of 34, and then I was up $100, 106 I believe, locked in my profit right there, and then it came back down just because I knew there was a resistance. This second time, I actually thought I was going to stop loss out. and I'm going to walk you guys through that one a little bit closer. And the reason why is because what we've talked about, when it kind of plateaus around that area, it means it's most likely going to dump below. So I had my stop loss. I knew my risk was very low. At most, because of my stop loss, I was going to lose about like $10 with 1/10 of a cent. So I knew my loss was very minimal, and the potential again was around $110 to $200, aiming to sell around 305 or 3010 if that 305 resistance was able to be broken. So I knew the safety was at 290. I bought in at 292 to be exact. I set a stop loss at $2.89. Just set my alerts after that. So I knew I controlled the amount of money that I could lose. I knew I bought in at a good price, and now we were just waiting for SCYX to do its thing. So understanding that there was a resistance here, we were hoping for a break. It broke, and once it broke above, that 305 area, that's when it just started shooting my alerts. Right after one another, they're going off. These are 1 minute increments, and you can see how heavy. If you see the volume right here, the volume went from 5,000, and I got an alert on just the volume just going crazy. Through the Fidelity application, you could actually put a volume alert, and it just shot up to the thousands, which is not very common. And then once it hit above the 320, I knew that was a good resistance point, and the reason I knew that, or a good sell point, was because it usually tops out at most at 325. So understanding that, I set my limit order to sell at 324. It actually hit highs of 325 and then bounced right back down. So my exit point was almost perfect, or I would say perfect, right? My buy-in point was close to perfect, right? Since I knew I was buying it at a low point, I had a plan to cut losses short, and again, I was preparing and setting myself up for success. So because of that, I explain myself very thoroughly in all these videos in effort for you guys to kind of set up a game plan. Every single time you guys trade, you guys should be knowing where you're buying in, if it's a good buy, setting a stop loss, and then setting alerts and understanding where you're going to sell. If you can do that for every stock that you're trading, no matter what it is, so an overall very successful day with the 2 trades I did today. DRYS did absolutely amazing. Just definitely was that pump and dump scheme. That's why I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I am going to talk a little bit about it. So this is pretty much how I closed yesterday. So as of yesterday, this being a 5-day analysis, you know that it said its safety. A safety at $2 was pretty strong, as it almost at $2 bounced up, almost just broke below 2, or if not was a little bit below 2, and then bounced up to 250. So with that alone, it definitely does have potential, as these pops are big, especially if you're talking about a $2 stock. 20 cents is the ideal price point to hit your 10% profit. So it definitely does have that potential. Hit a resistance at 250, popped right on over, and that volume and all that hype just kind of took over. Again, hit highs of 550 and then started bleeding down. I actually told the team to try to lock in your profits. Went below, sub $5, hit about 460 and then popped back up and then kind of plateaued. Expecting, based on all the news that DRYS was going through, I hope that all of you guys sold. The reason why is because when stocks have huge days like these, they actually, the following day have, really red days, and I hope none of you, get caught in that. I just want to make sure that, you guys don't get greedy. Set up a game plan on where you're buying, where you're selling, and then setting a stop loss, and then locking in those profits when you guys are in the green. So all those that were able to lock in, no matter how much you're trading with, it's all about the percentages, right? So if you can lock in 5% profit or more every single time you trade, if you're starting with a $100 account, that's great. If you're starting with a $10,000 account, then great for you as well. But understanding the principle and kind of just the concept of trading, that's really what I want you guys to understand. So when it comes to just future stocks, that you guys can do your own analysis, share your best practices, and promote growth within our group. So huge shout out to Cyrus for bringing in $500 profit with 1.2K invested, nearly seeing 50% returns. So great, shout out for him. He's definitely one that's been very active within our group. Gutierrez locking in his profit, definitely a good sign that you guys are showing, not being greedy. And just Marcos Palma bought in at 343, sold in at 354. So with that, about 10 cents, so probably 3.33% growth. So again, he's a new trader, locked in profit. He's been consistently locking in his profit and at least profiting while he's learning, which is the biggest thing. So thank you again for being so active within our group, Marcos. I do want to give another shout out to Adil. He's been consistently locking in his profits. He's been almost doing his own thing. I think he's really just using TechBit Solutions as more as like exposure to potential stocks. He kind of seems like he knows what he's doing. So locked in $260 worth of profit. He locked it in on TXTM, which is not one that I shouted out, so it's been different members that have kind of just been throwing different stocks out there. And that's a great thing about this group, because actually the stock that I traded to, the SCYX, I actually figured and discovered that stock because of this group, and I can continue to add those stocks to my watch list, and that's only because of this group and all the exposure that it allows me to have access to. So I want to give a huge shout out to him, and want to definitely continue in promoting your growth with your account, since it seems you've been doing very well. Another shout out to Tommy Dung. So he's up 12% on his stock for DRYS. I'm pretty sure he locked in his profit there. So again, a lot of you were like, man, I should have held DRYS. I could have locked in 40-50%. And when you get into that mentality, yeah, that's great, because this is like 1 in a million stocks that you guys are going to catch when it goes up and then lock in those profits. But I want you guys to understand, in the long run, it is not very realistic to hope for those 40-50%, just because they're not realistic. So locking in those 10 to 20%, whatever it is, 5%, 3%, just locking in profits as you go, that in the long run will actually lead to your growth and just your true potential when it comes to a trader, and your overall success when it comes to being a successful day trader altogether. Brandon said he was out at 424, so I'm guessing this is for DRYS. So huge shout out to him for locking in his profit. And then Dawson being able to buy in DRYS at 345. Now it's at 420, saying that it's easy money. So huge shout out to him as well. So I want to give a huge shout out to Angelo for locking in his profit on DRYS, and then he actually went for another profit of $110 on the third bounce. So another shout out to him just for consistently locking in those profits. So you can be buying in, selling at the resistance, and if it continues to rise, then set up another plan, buy in, cut your losses short if anything, and if not, continue locking in those profits. I do want to give another shout out to Jay for locking in, or at least that he was up $86 at this current price point for SCYX. And actually, he's one that sold with me around that 320 area, so I'm sure he locked in a good amount more than just those $84. And this is actually when I alerted the team that I ended up selling, so just sold at 324 for, with that fast pop. So again, buying in at that 290, popped up, sold at the 324 since it hit highs of 325, and then just locking in those profits. So altogether on the day, I was able to lock in $442 of profit on SCYX, and then a couple other traders followed with locking in their profits on both DRYS and SCYX as well. So $125 profit for Angelo, and then it kind of goes down the list with that. So Marcos, everyone in a sense seemed to have a really successful day. Blake Allen was up on DRYS, who wasn't able to sell because of being marked as a day trader, so definitely don't want to, didn't want to be marked as a day trader. So kind of have to watch out for that, making sure you don't get into stocks that you can't sell and most likely going to dump the following day. But overall, just really successful day within our group. So I want to give a huge shout and huge thanks to all those that participated in today's trading. So I just want to thank you guys again, and if you guys would like to be a part of this group, I'm going to provide you with the link down below where you guys can join, again for free. And then I'd love to be able to be a part of your success. So I'm also going to be providing you with my email. So I would encourage you to email me. Just tell me, why it is that you'd like to be a part of this group, and kind of what your goals are, just so I have a better understanding and making sure that, I can help you and be a part of your success. So that email is going to be provided for you down below. And if you guys want to stay up to date with, daily recap videos and our Sunday stock talks, as well as, different cars that we do drive quite often, feel free to subscribe. We do upload, daily with these recaps, and then once or twice a week I upload, with the different cars that I own or that I'm driving. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good night, and let's make sure that we continue on ending the week on a green note. Take care, fellas.